Say what? Say what radio show with no agenda. It's always a surprise. But if we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 5 Pacific. On Haggy Shack Radio at HaggyShack.com. Say what?
Okay, this is the Say What Show. It's produced by Haggy Shack and Colleen Kelly. My name is Nancy Hopkins, and this is September 3rd, 2016. It's being simulcast over Wolf Spirit Radio. This is donation-supported radio, so you can go to Wolf Spirit and you can donate directly there, or you can go over to HaggyShack.com and you can donate there. Now, at Haggy Shack, Cosmic Reality Shungite Inc., which is the Shungite store, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we got without Colleen. And we want to try to support her. So what we're doing is if you give her a donation, now that's on HaggyShack.com, if you give her a $30 or more donation, we will send you some S4 Shungite stickers. So you, we get the advertising, she gets the donation, and you get the stickers. So it's a win-win for everybody, and we highly recommend that you give that a try. What else? We're still, I don't know that it went over the air, but Deb had her power flicker off, and so now she's trying to reset her computer because she couldn't hear me on the telephone. Ever since we put up the radio station, I've got some kind of a bizarre thing that I'm feeding back into the mic that Colleen is using on Skype, so she's getting an echo. So forgive me, and please, Colleen, try to stay on top of me. I'll try to mute. That seems to be I thought it was cleared up. I went over it with Walt, and we thought we had cleared it up. Obviously, I should have called you beforehand and said, oh, let's just check this. But I didn't, so we'll try to muddle our way through this. For those people that may have heard the World Talk with Friends on Wednesday's show, we had Two Dog with us, and it really was a very profoundly inspiring discussion that we had. If you can, as a matter of fact, Colleen, let's put it to the chat. You can go over to Haggy Shack, right? And you've got a link back to the blog?
Yes, and I've already put that into the chat. We can do it again, but yes. I put it in my chat, I put it in Wolf Spirit chat, I put it up on Facebook. I did.
Okay. What that is you can hear that Colleen cut the 2-hour version down to an hour, so you can hear exactly what was said, during the Two Dog session. What he's talking about is, the situation on the Native American lands. Now, Colleen, I didn't know this until I started doing some research to put the blog up, that the Keystone Pipeline had actually been stopped. Did you know that?
I had heard that, but then again, I don't know how many of these, okay, we'll stop this one, so let's change the name and get it going again kind of stuff. Like they do with bankruptcies and all that, you just change the name of the company. So
that seems to be what happened, yes.
So I'm always real leery about that. Everybody gets real happy, but I'm like, I don't know if it's that easy, because a lot of these politicians get an awful lot of money for allowing that kind of stuff to happen, so it's not so easily dropped, I don't think.
Well, in the blog, I've got a map up that shows, basically, I think, if I'm understanding it correctly, the Keystone people really did stop it. The ones that went out there and protested, they were able to stop it going through their territory, their land, their states. And so they made an extension of what they already had built of the Keystone into an already existing pipeline. is what I think is happening. So now, to get to this far eastern pipeline, they have to go under the Missouri River. And it's something like 237 or something other rivers and streams to be able to do this.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand, is how many of our waterways are affected by all of this.
Well, that's the point. And it's like Two Dog and others have pointed out, it's not if it's going to break, it's when is it going to break. And I couldn't believe it. I don't even remember what she said to me, but last night Cindy and I were talking about it, and she used to be an environmental pollution thing for Disney World. And she said, I mean, it was like 1/100th of 1,000 pieces of oil in water will pollute the water, period, done. You know, it was so little oil in water that could cause it to be, you know, undrinkable, that I was stunned to the point that I don't actually remember the figure, but I remember going like, oh my God, like that's nothing.
Right. Well, apparently there's also, and this is a little off topic, but there's also oil still leaking into the Gulf, new spills, new leaks that are not being talked about at all. And they're huge ones again. So, somehow we need to get this all stopped. And I think in uniting as Two Dog and the First Nations people are trying to do is get us all united about this, because everybody, oh, you know, it's not in my area, what do I care? It's not my land, what do I care? But they don't realize that this affects all of us and all of life. So. Hello, hello.
Hello? Sorry, I got the mute on. We got Deb Rail back with us now. Deb, I don't know what you might have just heard. What we're talking about is a show that we had on Wednesday with Two Dog, and he was talking about the protests by the Native Americans who are trying to stop a pipeline that is going under the Missouri River, plus another 200 and some, because it was apparently the Keystone pipeline has been stopped, but in order to continue, they are making a link to an eastern pipeline that's already in place. And by doing this eastern movement, they're going underneath and through, I guess, hundreds of rivers. Wow. So he was very, very interesting in presenting the Native American position. But right now, I'm just going to go to what I was reading earlier, and this is called the Dakota Access Pipeline. If completed, will cross the states of North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Illinois. It's just 7 miles short of the planned Keystone Pipeline, which faced years of protest and presidential review before it was scrapped in late 2015. I didn't even realize that it had actually been scrapped. So the new pipeline will span land dotted with sacred Native American sites between the Cannonball and the Heart Rivers. And this is quotes, it's a historic place of commerce where enemy tribes camped peacefully within sight of each other, said John Eagles Sr. in an interview with Indian Country Today. In the area are sacred stones where our ancestors went to pray for good direction, strength, and protection for the coming year. The stones are still there, and our people still go there today. Now, although the pipeline will not directly cross an environmentally protected area or federally reserved indigenous land under current proposals, it will pass within a half a mile of the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation and transverse 209 rivers and creeks, so it was a little less than I said. Protesters fear the pipeline could pollute water sources in their remote territory. They also argued they were not properly consulted before the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approved the project in late July. The holding company, which owns Dakota Access, denies any wrongdoing. The Dakota Access Pipeline is committed to working with individual landowners to make accommodations, minimize their structure, and achieve full, the BS that they always say. So, that's what I was just mentioning that because I really want people to, take the time to look at this thing because first off, the fact that the Keystone Pipeline was stopped is a pretty massive, good thing for the people that were there and did it. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, we lost that war, but we're not going to tell anybody. I didn't hear about it. Now, granted, I'm not paying too much attention these days.
Right.
But still, it was, and what is actually the strangest thing is that when Two Dog was talking to us, it's like they're a sovereign nation. I keep forgetting this, that the Native American people are a sovereign people. They have their own way, their own nation, basically, a sovereign people. So when the United States government goes in there and, in any shape or form, whether it's state or whatever, they don't have any legal rights in any way, shape, or form that I know of. So it's virtually an act of war. Get out of the way. We're going to do whatever we want. There was a stoppage to the building. They had stopped it, somehow or another they got it stopped. But I was on their Facebook page and, it seems like that's not happened now. There's some judge said, no, we're going to let them continue. So they've had a setback. But the other thing that I found out when I was doing this research is that every time I put in anything about it, what I was getting was the British Broadcasting Corporation news, BBC. You didn't see ABC, CBS, or NBC.
No, of course not.
It was the BBC. I'm getting the news from Britain.
Wow.
It's like, come on.
I think the judges who are deciding for these huge corporations need to have their financial records investigated.
Good idea.
Because it seems like they're deciding for these large corporations, much as they have done with Monsanto against small farmers and such. And I think every one of those who are deciding in those ways need to be financially investigated. Just like our Supreme Court members who should be wearing race car uniforms with all the stickers of who finances them.
Yeah.
You mean the concept that a corporation is a human being?
Yes, definitely. And the fact that even the Supreme Court is making decisions for the large corporations and against we, the real people, which is totally against what the hell they're supposed to be doing up there anyway.
Well, yeah. And, but they do whatever they want. For instance, the Bush-Gore thing. They had no jurisdiction to make the decision to stop the Florida elections. None. What was his name? Oh gosh, he was a really well-known lawyer. He was appearing on all the shows, if they needed a lawyer, he was the guy that they were talking to. And he wrote a book, which is right over, I moved the book. And he was writing about the Gore, Bush, Supreme Court decision. And he was a Supreme Court, clerk, I think they call him, when he was working, in the Supreme Court for one of the particular, judges. And, he was screaming about it. This is ridiculous. It couldn't be. This is America. You don't make up laws as you go along. And I was reading the book when 9/11 happened. And I heard no more about the book. No more about this, Bush and Gore election. Nothing. So,
well, the American people you know, if the media comes out and says, well, the Supreme Court decided this way, the people go, oh, we can't do anything because it's the Supreme Court. Which is bullshit, because if the Supreme Court is not doing their job, just like most of all those other people up in there, there are things that we can do that's not, you know, the Supreme Court is not God, okay? And I'll shut up and let you finish.
Well, I actually, we have a corporation in control of the government, so we don't have any control. The Supreme Court is one of the dependent departments of the government. If we can get that straight in our head and not worry about what any of these people are saying, because they're corporation. They're not the government. We do not have a republic in the United States. There is no republic. Get over it and do something about it. And, Deb, from the beginning of this year, I had a feeling that we needed to talk more about the indigenous people's way of addressing Earth itself. Good. Because of the feeling of solidarity and with Earth. Right. And this is why I think that this is coming up now. A, because we need to know more about the indigenous people, and B, because we need to come together. Not as a corporation, not as a government, but as human beings fighting for Mother Earth. And for whatever reason, this particular group of people are seeming to galvanize that momentum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you want to hear my take on it, what you all said so far?
Oh, absolutely. That's why you're here.
Okay, sorry about that. It was so funny how the electric went right off when we started, and I don't know how to do this on my cell phone. I think I figured it out, but I'm back on. If I fall off, I'll go on the cell phone. But here's what I was getting while you were talking. I'm not as aware of the particular issues either, since I'm not connected to media a lot. But as you were talking on feeling, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I could be wrong, but that's what I was feeling. Then I realized, oh, we're in a Saturn, Neptune aspect. And you know, even though I do astrology, I do everything intuitive, so I don't know what the exact aspect is, but I know what it means, and I'm seeing it happen all around everywhere, to the planet and to us. Saturn is earth, structure, our bones, our earth, it's just form. Neptune's spirit and water. And so what feels like happening, and we're all seeing it, is that our current reality, whatever it has appeared to be, is dissolving. And what is trying to evolve now is connecting form back to spirit, which is the Native American way. You know, like, connect spirit, get reconnected with the earth, with each other, but spirit with form connected. So and it's important, all these issues, and it's good for the awareness, but I think it's all by design, and I think that it's all in divine order, and that this time things are going to change for sure. I don't know. There's my take.
I feel the same way. I mean, I do think that there's so many synchronicities in my own life, you know, regarding this issue, that, I got the feeling like, okay, this is the time, because of course, the water thing in the American, Native American environment is just awful. We got involved with it earlier because of the concept of, uranium being in the water. And this was in, I can't even remember which, I don't want it to be, it was a while back we did this, but it's not exactly in the North Dakota area. It's south of that and a little west. The whole area, because of the mining, has polluted the Native American water to the point that they really don't have any water. To get water out to the people that need it, this one woman had got a truck and was filling it with water and then going out to the people living out in this area that don't have well water anymore because of the uranium. And she was bringing them water. I mean, that's how they're getting their water. So we got interested in it. I set up a Facebook group called Gaia's Groupies, and we were attempting to contact the people that are on the ground working in this project to see if we couldn't assist them with a shungite device that we have called a water turtle. And we couldn't get their interest. I mean, it's you know, I understand it. It's like if you don't understand what's behind shungite, this sounds like voodoo, you know, and we weren't asking them for anything except give us the opportunity to try it, and still no response. And I tried a number of different ways. So just before I get on the radio, and we did not pre-schedule Two Dog. Colleen brought him in at the halfway. Well, it turned out to be another hour, but it was, we were already an hour and a half into the show. So all of a sudden I've got this, Native American talking about many Native Americans, and it's like there's more tribes that are involved in this than have come together in 100 years. Apparently Wounded Knee was the last time or Little Bighorn was the last time they came together like this. So I get an email from somebody who's got uranium in their water, well water, and they're asking, can shungite help? It's an individual, you know, somebody who owns their property and have a well on it. So I said to her, well, we'll send you this. Will you do the testing? And they're already doing the testing on the water. They know where to get it tested. It's a contained environment in that the water is being put into tanks. And so we can get the water turtle in the tanks and then monitor what happens. To me, this was like, it's one thing when I get somebody that's offering to do what we need done. It's another thing when we get the Native Americans still fighting for the water. It was like, oh no, this is bigger than, this is big. There is a timing thing happening. Comment?
Well, I was just commenting on the Fifth Dimension did the song, The Age of Aquarius, and all of that. And Aquarius is called the water bearer. And I find it rather ironic that during this age is when they're trying to buy up water rights and they're polluting all of our waters left and right, and they want to pollute it and then filter it and all of that stuff and then sell it back to us when it should be free and right and all of that sort of thing. So I find that all rather ironic.
Well, it's my thought that Aquarius is the water bearer. That's what they call it, and you see it flowing water, but it's an air sign, so it's of spirit. And what I think this might all be happening is for us to take our empowerment back and realize that water is a living molecule and it's totally programmable, and that we can program it with our intentions, with our thoughts, with shungite, and that I don't care what they do to it. Or to us, we can change that reality because we just put our intention. If everyone keeps sending love to the water, love to your body's water, the planet's a lot of water, we can shift it. So the age of Aquarius to me is, oh wow, the exact same thing. We're going to bring spirit back into form. We're going to be empowered. And we can change these things no matter what they do. But they're just based on fear and trying to scare us, and that, we aren't empowered. But we're very powerful just with our thoughts, our intentions, and our love. And send it to the water. Send it everywhere. This planet has a ton of water. I don't care what they say. It's here for us. But they're trying to make it look like a lack. And they're doing a good job. But then you'll see there's excess in other areas. So water is water and spirit and form. These are all big things that are up right now. And so it's always to get everyone's attention. And which way are you going to go? Are you going to go in the fear? Or are you going to take back and do what you can just in your thought processes and which way are you going to go with it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take a stand or take action, but do it from an empowered place. And that's what they're scared of. We are very powerful.
Yes, that I actually got into that with Two Dog, because one of the things that became apparent to me over the last, few years was the connection to the indigenous people. Mm-hmm. Now, in my book Cosmic Reality, I cover what happened with Bill Brockbrader. And right. Bill, in the 90s, was in Iraq, and he was on the ground with a laser painting essentially little village outposts of nomadic tribes so that Tomahawk missiles could target them. Now, and that's one of the reasons that Bill became who he was, because after a while he kind of like woke up enough to say, wait a minute, there's nothing of strategic importance here. What are we doing here? And this was in Iraq. He was in Iraq, northern Iraq. Now, my question at that time was like, why is Hussein not doing something about Tomahawk missiles coming from Navy ships flying over his territory to kill nomadic people in Iraq? Why isn't he in a rage about this? Right. Well, I said, if he's not in a rage, then it's something he wants. So he also wants to kill the nomadic people and the indigenous knowledge that they're holding. And I think it's the same thing, that the concept of tribe that mm-hmm. is very prevalent within indigenous people is something that terrifies the powers that be.
Yep, because it's unity and it's the age of Aquarius. It's all the same. And they're afraid that we are going to bring it back. And I think we are.
Yeah. Say that again, please.
Oh, okay, so that's exactly the tribe. It's like the age of Aquarius. So the indigenous, it's unity consciousness. And it doesn't mean you still don't have an individual personality, but you join together. And that's what they're very afraid of. And that's what this time period is all about. Coming back to unity, to the tribe in however form you want to see it. And it's really trying to be, stopped or co-opted, but people just need to be aware of that and not buy into the fear of it and just keep going and keep doing what we know to be right.
Well, a comment on two things. First off, the idea of water being programmable and being a conscious entity that can make great changes. That was Dr. Emoto, correct? I mean, he did a lot of work in that. Do you want to talk, either one of you want to talk about what he did?
Well, in that movie, What the Bleep, I'm sure many people that are listening to that had watched that. They showed quite a few things on that, but that where there was a girl, I believe it's that movie. Sometimes I get the movies mixed up. But there was a woman who didn't really like herself. I'm not sure if it was that movie. And she would say negative things to herself all the time. And then she wasn't happy, and her roommate was really fun-loving, and she couldn't figure it out. And then she saw a presentation in a subway or something, of all things, of Dr. Emoto showing all the pretty crystals that form in water by just putting the word love on them or positive words. So she went home, if I'm remembering this all correctly, and she wrote the word love all over her body. And she made the connection, and she started to have a happier life. Because our body is water, and it is programmable. But so is the planet, actually everything. And we're coming to that realization now as a time period. But yeah, they're trying to stop. I don't know. I don't like to put it us against them. I just think it's opportunities to always choose love or fear. And are we going to be empowered? And how are we going to think about things? How are we going to take the initiative to focus on what we want and find ways to do that or live it? Like Colleen was saying, I just think that this is providing us opportunities. And it looks scary, and it can be scary, but I think we're bigger than that. I just think we are. And I'm starting to see a lot of signs of it. So maybe I'm just a hopeful romantic, but I think so. And it's important. It's very important. So I'm glad you're talking about it. And I'm glad he's been on the show. I missed that show. I've been a little busy, but that's fascinating.
Well, just to give people who may not, I mean, I'm assuming that most people listening to us have heard of Dr. Emoto, but what he did, and I have to wonder, why did you do this? But he was taking water, and then he was taking photographs of the water as it went from ice to melt. Just at the instant that it was sort of going from the ice structure into the water structure, he would take a high-resolution picture of it. And what he was getting was crystals that took on all sorts of shapes depending on where the water had come from. Now, the big thing that he's known for, the one that everybody, uses to say, this is the power of water when it's been programmed, was, I believe, a lake in Japan. And this was a hugely polluted lake. And he somehow or another got publicity over everybody in Japan just focusing their thoughts on this water becoming pure. Yep. And he had done the crystal, he took the picture of the water, and the crystal was extremely deformed. It was brown and yucky and just awful picture. And not long after, I mean, I'm talking like days after he instigated this praying thing over the water, they took more pictures, and all of a sudden, now you're getting these perfect, beautiful, miraculous crystals. And a short time after that, the water had completely cleaned. Now, you can go and you can check this out. I'm not making this up. This is what happened. But he did it in a number of different instances, and showed the power of thought and prayer to just cleanse water with no other.
And language and words, and now they've also showed it with sound. You can actually change the pattern. So when people would put the word fear, like write it and put it on water, or yell at water, or say negative or angry things, it would change the crystal, even in a bottle of water. He has pictures of that too. I've never gone to see him talk, but I remember a lot about it. Then if you put the word love or a loving intent, so you can change it with your thoughts, your language, your spoken word, and vibration, because it is all just a vibration. And water is very, very programmable. And we're water and the earth's water. And Shungite does that too. And then you even program your Shungite. So we can do it. And they know it. And they don't want us to know it. Whoever they are, which is only a part of us, our fear part.
Well, when we were talking to Two Dog, I did get the message not to attempt to stop, but the attempt to change. Right. Because the reality of things is that the people, the judges, the people that are actually working on the pipeline, the politicians that see that their state's going to get much more money because of this dang pipeline, all of these people are misguided. Mm-hmm. And they're not understanding the connection to A, the tribe, B, Earth. Right. And right. So they're coming from, let's say, a position in life that is much different than the Native American and awakened people everywhere. So what I asked the audience to do was to think in terms of the collective consciousness, that we can work through the collective consciousness by influencing it through our own thoughts. And that what I was getting at the time, Deb, was that we need to open the hearts of all these people that are doing this stuff out of a sense of fear and the desire for security and greed.
Right.
That we have to open up their hearts, because there's no sense trying to talk to somebody that's kind of dead-brained, so locked in a matrix, that they think you're crazy because you're talking about, my God, what are you talking about? The programmability of water. What in the, you people are insane, right? So why try to argue against that kind of a mind? Use metaphysics, and metaphysics being the ability to influence the collective consciousness to open their hearts. And that to me is the way we have to look at it.
And in order to do that, we have to open our hearts and know there's no enemy and send them love and just, I know people will get upset with that too, but just do that and know that their hearts will open at some point, and then just focus on what we know is possible. Like one of my buddies here, he's always seen water. I'm in California and we're in a big drought. But instead of focusing on the drought, he sees lush water and waterfalls and water everywhere. And enough people do that, it will come to be. Even, I don't know. But so yes, focus on what we want and not fight, but stand our ground and know the truth in our heart. And yes, love them and see if, they can come open their heart eventually, no matter. Cause trying to talk or fight with them is only going to cause more resistance and more struggle. And I agree with you.
You remember the 60s generation and the war on Vietnam and the flowers in the barrels of the rifles?
Yeah. And that was a precursor of this time. That was a little taste of now. So we're in that now. That's why those songs came out then. It was preparing us for this time period.
Well, being a 60s generation person, it's like, are you there too? Are you 60s?
I wanted to be. It's probably good I didn't. I might not have lived through it. I think I would have had way too much fun. But, I was born in 59. So I was very young when that was all happening, but I loved the music and I still do. And I remember some of it.
Well, having been there, it was, it was like a microcosm of what somebody goes through when they awaken to the concept of the Matrix. Because I was, I'd been raised in Massachusetts in a Catholic church in a big family. And I go off to the University of Massachusetts. Now, to look at it from the outside, you would think that I had a pretty strong foundation for, I was a patriot. My God, I mean, America, my dad is a war veteran, my mom was even in the military. It was like, whoa, this is a wonderful country. We're the best country. We do all these wonderful things, and then I get in and I start to learn history. Right. Not history like it was taught to me as a school kid, but history as it really was to a degree, because even after that I found out I was lied to. But all of a sudden I'm seeing a much different version of America.
Right.
And, I was still like, but it's America, it's mine, and then because of, you're put into an environment of thought from all sorts of people all over the country, in fact, all over the world, and all of a sudden this thing, Vietnam, takes on a totally different look to it. Instead of being, America is going out there and giving them, this ability to find democracy and freedom and not get involved with those terrible communist types. What happened was that, to give you an example of the kind of influence that started at the universities with myself and others, Dick Gregory was a very famous comedian.
Yeah.
And he was one of those people that went on the road protesting against Vietnam. And I went and saw a rally of his, and the only thing I remember him saying is that if democracy was all it was cracked up to be, you wouldn't have to spend $50,000 to kill. That's what they were saying, that, every person in North Vietnam that had been killed cost the government $50,000. He said that if democracy was as good as it's supposed to be, you wouldn't have to spend all that money killing people. You could, he says, if I had $50,000 and put it on my porch, somebody would come and take it. You know, it's like, if democracy was what it was supposed to be, they would take it. They would want it. Instead, we get all these guns and we go over there and we kill all the people for $50,000 a head. You know, what's that about? Well, $50,000 is going to corporations.
Right.
And suddenly, the concept of America being not what I thought it was very damaging. It was like somebody who all of a sudden realizes that 9/11 was an inside job, that there was no Arab terrorist involved. They were involved, but they didn't know what they were doing. They were patsies, basically. So, all of a sudden, you know, everything that you knew, your foundation of who you are and what your country is shattered.
Yep.
And the response was so interesting because the students now are starting to open up their brains and see what this one thing was really all about. And because that happened, now you're starting to look at other things and you're going like, well, that doesn't make any sense either. You know, it was like this massive awakening in the university and colleges. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that in the time when, in May of 1970, when the Kent State situation occurred. Now, for those that don't know, we're having a peaceful protest against Vietnam, and the National Guard, was it Ohio? I don't remember anymore. But the National Guard was brought into this university setting, and National Guard, they're untrained people carrying guns. And they were loaded guns. And I believe it was 5 died and 1 survived, but was tremendous amount of damage.
And it was shown live on TV.
Yes, it was. Well, when that happened,
live at dinner time.
Exactly.
When that happened, the entire university and college system in America collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I happen to have been a voting member of the Faculty of History, even though I was a student, because they had seen the unrest of Vietnam. And the history department said, you know, what if we have this liaison committee and we bring the students in and meet with us, and therefore if something's going wrong, maybe we can get a handle on it before it goes really wrong, and we'll look like the good guys. That ended up being I ended up getting elected to this liaison committee in the history department, and I kind of like parlayed it into a position of power, so that in order to try to control me, they made me a sort of like an honorary member of the faculty. And we did revamp the entire history curriculum based on the input from the students. It was really very progressive. But when Kent State happened, now I'm like a senior now in college, I was kind of trapped between the students and the faculty. But what happened was that immediately the universities and the colleges realized that they had a terrible problem on their hands, in that the students had gone from peaceful students into raging, angry students, and the anger was palatable. You know, that was like, you don't do that, right? So what happened was that they sort of canceled schools, the classes.
Right.
This is the University of Massachusetts. They canceled all the classes, and they started up these impromptu discussion groups in every department, not just the history, I mean all through the schools, where students could come and talk and share. And they kind of got a grip on it because they moved so quickly. But more interesting than what the universities and colleges were doing to control the situation was what happened with the students. I went over to the university's, they called student union. It was a student union. And I'm seeing a lot of, it was like different. It was like there was some kind of an organization feeling in the school, in the student union, where people would go and they had places for television, and there was the cafeteria thing was always open, and it was always, like kind of like a laid back place. But this day it was different. The energy was all different. People were hustling around like they had someplace to go. And I sort of like started just wandering around, and in the upper second story there was all these rooms where you could have these meetings and things. And I walk into this one room, and there's a map of the United States on the wall. And there was a kid up there, and he's working on the map, and he's got these little pins, and he's sticking the pins in the map. And so I kind of like, I'm going like, what is happening here? And I went to the back of the room, and I sat down, and I just watched it. Years later, I was in the...
Nancy, did your thingy mute again? 'Cause we're not hearing you.
I didn't do anything.
I can hear, but you guys can't?
I didn't hear her there, no.
I'm here.
Okay, can you repeat what you just said about the pins and the maps? 'Cause we didn't hear it.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, the pins in the maps. This kid was putting pins in the maps, okay? Now, what he was actually signifying is universities and colleges that were closing down because of the Kent State environment. And many years later, when I was a professional military person and saw the same kind of scenario, it was nowhere near as professional as this situation in the student union that I saw. All right, so something happened with these kids. They like stood up like they had something behind them. It was just amazing to watch. I found out from just sitting there and listening and talking to some of the people that the University of Massachusetts was an open telephone connection with Berkeley in California.
What the heck? What the heck? Alrighty. Gonna start the call again, guys, 'cause something weird happened. Alrighty. Deb's back?
Can you hear?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay, the bottom line here is in May of 1970, the country was in total revolt. It came so close to tearing apart the established government / corporation that the I'm not sure now, there was an army battalion that was sent to the White House.
Wow.
Nixon was in terror of what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even when I was in the thralls of it, I didn't realize the extent of it until I was looking at the occupation movement. And I did a little discussion of the difference between the occupation movement and what happened in the 60s. And as I started to look at the 60s again, I didn't realize that it was a world event. They had 1 million people in London protesting the killings of Kent State.
Good.
You know? So it's not that we haven't proven that we can take it all down with very little drama. You know? You just stop playing the game. It's as simple as that. But they have gone out of their way since then. They worked harder and harder to keep us in a state of fear, to keep us from understanding how powerful we really are.
Even back then, the political and military complex was co-opting, not only with Kent State, a lot of these things that happened, which caused, and also even with the hippie movement, because they infused the drugs in there, and then people got all addicted to the drugs too, and all this was to weaken us, you know, so we couldn't be effective and stay in that place of love and work together in our tribe and in unity. So we're getting another chance now. And like you said, they're pulling out all the tricks, but what are we going to choose? which way are we going to go this time? And something came to me, about 2 years ago, before, as things keep amping up, and it came to me, and maybe someone else has said it. I keep getting the message, if it's not for the good of all now, it must fall. And we have to do it with love, to keep the love vibration and not let them pull us into the fear. And it's a tricky thing. And we can totally do it. And they were doing it back then, and we can do it. And I feel really strong about that, in case you can't tell. I get activated by this stuff. So, yeah, it's all happening again. And it's around the water rights, around this silly election, around the weather, around everything. And we're all getting the choices. And are we going to stand together and be empowered and focus on what we want and help and love our neighbor and ourselves? Or are we going to be in fear and try to fight against something that's not even real?
Deb for president.
No! Deb's slowly coming out of hiding. Don't push my buttons. Yeah. So this is good. All this talk is going on. And it's good to hear everybody and everybody's view on it. And I just think, like JP, have pieces of the puzzle, and we are watching it all happen again. It's fascinating. I've even been watching some movies periodically, like The Butler, and different movies that were occurring in that time period. And we are in a bit of a revolutionary change. We definitely are.
Well, I think it goes back to the concept of almost like a wave, the wave. Yep. The wave goes out, and then it catches up with another wave. It gets a little bigger, a little more strong, and then a third wave and a fourth wave, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's almost like somebody's orchestrating these crisis events.
Yep.
In order to bring people together, and then it stops, and then because what stopped the revolution really in 1970? I was graduating. I was a senior, and I went to the history department, and I said, I really think I might go into graduate school here. And they said, not here. And I said, what? And they said, we have been waiting 4 years for you to get your mother ass out of here. And I said, what? These were the conservatives, right? Yeah. And I said, and they said, we're just waiting for all of you people to graduate, and you will lose your base. And they were right. Everybody graduated. All of a sudden, everybody's torn apart. The tribe was torn apart.
Yep.
And we no longer had our power base. So each and every one of us goes about through trying to get through the matrix, trying to just do what we're supposed to do to survive, because we're being, continually bombarded with the concept of fear, of scarcity, and we don't have our tribe.
Yep.
But then, after another 40 years, we become 60.
Right.
Same thing. And what's our tribe? Social Security.
Exactly.
And
they're going to take it away.
And they're going to take it away. I don't think you want to do that to this generation. Been there, done that, know how to do it. We'll do it again. And you know what else?
Yeah.
We're too damn old to die young. So,
I've been close to a lot of these indigos in the younger generation, or the younger indigos, and they're just as strong as us, and they have the new ways, and they're ready. And I don't know. There's a lot of permaculture societies popping up. There's so many really cool new ideas, but humans are afraid of change, even if it's change they want. It's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So I have to do it myself all the time. Every time, me and my friend have a saying, never mind. Anytime I start to get panicky or worried, never mind, and just breathe and go back into what you want and know everything is fine, and just keep stepping forward. And, I tell you the truth. I think it's going to happen with or without us if we can let go and really go into that place of peace and love. And the waves are coming faster together now, and they're stronger. So we're going to be swept away with this. It's going to be bigger. It already is building than what we've seen. And I don't think any of us really know what to expect or what's going to be, but just keep focusing on your heart's dream, which we all basically have the same dream. It's simple. So just keep going back into that every time, all the fear, even in your own personal circumstances, or if you look out in the world and go, oh my gosh, just breathe. I tell myself this all the time, and come back in, and it's happening, and it's going to be good if we just allow it. Don't resist, allow, and focus on what we want and what can be and each other. Because they want separation. They want us separated from each other. They want us separated from ourselves. They want us separated from the universe, from the earth. Who says? We don't have to choose that. Okay, I'll finish.
Listen, no, thank you. We are at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a little bit of break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about this because it's trending, and because it's so dang important. So, Colleen, it's all yours, son. We'll be right back.
You've been listening. Sorry about that. We are back.
Okie dokie. You're listening to Haggy Shack Radio, simulcast over Wolf Spirit. It is September 3, 2016. When you might realize that this is Labor Day weekend here in the United States, you got your mic open, Colin. And what happened was that the show prior to us, Dolly Howard show, and the show after us, are replays. So Colleen said, you guys want to go with this? And it was funny because I think both Deb and I were getting this. We have to do something. There's something we have to do, but we don't know what it is. We just felt this need to communicate. And so then Deb pulled a card, and I want to bring her back in here because she's going to tell you what this card was, because it goes to show the synchronicity of all that's happening. That would be a pretty good read of it, Deb?
Yes. So before the show and before we got on, I just was feeling pulled. I have a new deck. I read colors, astrology, but I do have decks, and this is a new deck, relatively new, by Alana Fairchild. She has many decks. This one is called the Rumi Oracle, and I love Rumi, and it's a pretty powerful deck. It's my top favorite right now. And something said, pull a card. And I was going to pull it on air if you guys wanted to, but something said, no, do it now, before we got on, which is good because electric went off and all that. So I just sat here real quiet a few minutes before we all connected, and I asked what would be the best message to come through for everyone that is listening to today's show, that's just going to start. And I had no idea what the subject matter of the show was. I never do. And I'm laughing now. So now I really want to read it. I wanted to read it anyway if you guys wanted. But this is again from the Rumi Oracle deck, Alana Fairchild, and it is the card number 9. There's 44 cards. This is 9. It's a beautiful galaxy and a planet. The picture, the artwork's beautiful. And the card name is The Impossible Made Possible. Now, how she does it, she starts with a little Rumi quote. She does a little bit of channeled or her take, and then she talks about it. It's not super long. I am not necessarily always the best reader, but I would like to read it out loud, and at the end there is an honoring ritual that everyone can do or not. But I just think this is really important. So is it okay? Should I start?
Absolutely.
Okay. The impossible made possible. Love brings the sea into boiling and turns the mountain into a pebble. Love creates infinite openings in a dark sky and shutters the earth with its magnitude. Rumi. So that was a Rumi quote. Now here's her take on it. She spins, this great earth goddess, upon invisible strings amongst a wildly pulsating ballet of life. Stars are born, live and die all around her. Life moves in constant flux, and still she spins in her great, loving, constant pirouette. How can this be? All of creation is born from nothing. Out of endless silence and darkness, light emerges. What strange magic is this? The sun heats the solar system and burns with the power to destroy life. Yet it is a force by which life is sustained. Surely this makes no sense and cannot be. We dance in the realm of the impossible made possible constantly, you and I. We are so engrossed in it, so familiar with it, and yet blind to it, that these constant impossibilities happening in every moment fail to inspire us. Yet, what are your biggest, boldest, most extraordinarily impossible dreams compared to this great impossibility of life itself? Ah, they are but tiny seeds in the Creator's masterful hand, being now planted in the heavenly garden. Yet they are being planted right now, for the moon tells us the time is right. Most tenderly shall they be watched over, nurtured into fullness according to the season. Yes, that growth is assured. The impossible is now made possible. And now there's 3 paragraphs that explain. We only limit what we believe to be possible by our lack of imagination. The divine has recourse to all that is and all that is yet to be. There is any limit to the resources. Oh, is there any limit to the resources of heaven? No. Then why has not every impossible dream now been rendered possible? Or why has not? Here we go with my reading. So why has not every impossible dream now be rendered possible, yet manifest in shining glory upon the earth? The human heart knows everything envisioned can manifest according to divine timing and grace, yet the mind does quake with fear, so much that it will not listen to the heart at times. That fear is a childlike nightmare. That should you offer yourself up to the sacred loving power of the great Creator, you might be found to be lacking. The mind holds itself captive with dark fantasies of that profound rejection and then avoids confronting it directly at all costs. It creates barriers instead. Truly nothing more than lines in the sand, yet believed to be forts. But what stronghold can resist love? It is like water. It seeps into every available space and changes form to survive in every environmental condition. With unfailing intelligence, it creates life. From stream to ice, rainfall, the river and ocean, rain descending into snowflakes, snow capping the peaks, expressing itself with beauty and genius. It nestles under the earth and rises to the sky, only to return to the earth again. It will erode blockages and prevail, no matter how long that process takes. It carves the earth into shape and form. Where it is, there is life. Such is the adaptable intelligence and persistence of water, just as is the power of love. So, now you are guided by this loving presence to drop the doubt. Shed the incredulity, I didn't say that right, and open up the mind. Allow your imagination to be inspired as though you are a child in a great garden hearing the breath of the earth and the wind-whipped leaves and the voices of the ancestors in the bird song. The universe wants something to happen for you, something beautiful, something utterly improbable, and something perfect for your path, for your own unique divine destiny. Your mind will wonder if it is even possible. It will wonder if it's even possible. People around you may wonder the same thing, but your heart will burn for it to become real, to become more than a fantastic, improbable dream. You will want it with all your soul. You may not even be consciously aware as yet what this great desire is, but your heart knows. It holds the secret knowledge, and it will unveil it when your mind can handle it. When your heart is much more powerful than your mind, you won't unintentionally block the incredible grace of manifestation seeking to pour through your thirsty soul like the sweetest, purest waters of blessing. Now, I'm going to just go over this intention that everybody may want to do. You don't have to, but if you feel moved to, they say, place your hands very lightly at your throat. Then say aloud, and I'll say like 3 words at a time and give space for you to say, and then, I'll do that 3 or 4 words at a time. So say aloud, with Rumi, who loves me unconditionally. As my witness, I now offer myself into the hands of the all-loving creative intelligence of this universe. I release all vows, intentions, or beliefs ever made, consciously or unconsciously, in this or any lifetime, that are based in doubt and fear, holding back from creative fruition of my soul upon the earth. I dedicate myself to love and accept the gift of grace that brings me to greater fulfillment now. May I be blessed so I can surrender resistance and accept what is coming to me now for what it is, a gift of love. So be it. And then you place your hands at your heart, focus on your breath for a moment or two as it flows in and out. When ready, place your hands in prayer, bow your head to your hands. You have completed your sacred honoring ritual. I think that pretty much sums it up. We can do this.
Wow. Wait a minute, I gotta get a little grounded here. I was really out there. So before the show even began, when we had never discussed anything about what we were going to talk about, and you never heard the Wednesday show,
Nope.
You pull a card that's talking about the power of water.
Yeah, and love. And the earth, and spirit.
Well, I had to, it stopped me when you said a line in the sand, because when I wrote the post for talking about the show on Wednesday and what's happening there, I said in the introductory part of the blog, this may be the line in the sand.
Wow. And not to give over to the doubt. They want us to doubt ourselves and what we can all do and the love we all hold. It's in the line of sand. It isn't real. It's not real. It's just a line in the sand.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you for letting me do that. Because I didn't know. I just got the feeling. And then as the show kept going, I'm like, oh, no, I really need to read it. So, thank you.
Well, that's the magic that when we get together, not just you and myself and Colleen, but people get together.
Yep.
All this magical stuff happens. And I feel so bad for those people that aren't seeing it, which is one of the reasons that we tell people, please open your heart. The theme of Cosmic Reality radio show is let your heart be the master.
Right.
Follow your heart. And if you want to manifest, we've learned that manifestation really comes in from putting out what you emotionally want to feel versus what you think is going to make you happy. You know, think of manifesting joy. Don't think of manifesting a new car, a new house, a new mate. You know, I mean, because you don't know what those things are going to bring you. But joy, you know, joy will bring you joy. So follow your heart.
And
We are
each of our own hearts, we have the same dream. And a lot of us think it's impossible, especially with everything that's happened in our lives. But it's not. So, and we all have the same dream. I mean, when you get down to basics. So, yep.
I think of ourselves as, because one of the things that you also said earlier that I think is fundamentally very important, because it was for me, when people would talk about, you know, all this togetherness stuff, you know, and the ascension and, you know, I kept saying, but I like me.
Right. Well, you don't have to lose you.
but you know, nobody was saying that, you know. So if you see something, just say decline on your screen, Deb.
Okay, I did see that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. What we're doing here is following our hearts, following the path that's opened up to us. And right now we brought in Two Dog. I hope that we have presented his case very well. But Two Dog, welcome to the show. You know Debrielle, you know me, you know Colleen, and ladies and gentlemen, this is Two Dog. You want to say something there? I hope we're connected.
First off, I want to say is Oseo and hello in my language to you ladies and to all three of you life givers. The first thing I would like to do is always bow to the life giver, because without you there'd be no nations on this planet. So I do that right now. And we're kind of in what you call a struggle right now for the sacred waters, and I have heard you say this, and this is why that protest is going on, and this is why we're talking like we're doing right now. So I'm honored to be on the show with you ladies.
Oh, thank you. We're honored.
I'm just checking in with Colleen, Two Dog. I'm having a problem hearing you. Is everybody else hearing him all right? Because it could be my system.
Okay, let's go with this. See what this sounds like. Test it.
That's better.
That's better.
Okay. But yeah,
right.
we're all in a fight for the sacred waters, and that is life to everything on this planet. And as you know, I tell people all the time, always understand, as the mother goes, so goes all life. It's just simple as that.
And let me ask you this now, in Native American culture, do they also, I imagine they really appreciate water, but do they also accept the programmability of water? What Deb was talking about earlier, I'm not sure you heard it, but it comes from Dr. Emoto and from a lot of other, you know, metaphysicians and awake people, that you can actually program water with our minds. Is that something that your people are familiar with as far as understanding it and working with it? Are you muted?
Nancy, the thing about it is we work with everything of nature in itself. That's number one. I'm right here.
We can hear
you.
You
Hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Well, here's the thing about water in itself is it's there for everything. Everything. The earth needs the water, the plant peoples need the water, the standing ones, the four-leggeds, the wingeds, the two-legged. As far as what we do, we take tobacco out a lot of times and we give ceremony to the water. In other words, I raise it to the 6 directions and I place it in the water as a offering. But water is also cleansing. It cleanses you inside and out in many ways.
So you do it, but is he in a delay situation, Colleen?
I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure if you just stopped talking or you were having a delay thing are you on the phone or are you on Skype, Two Dog?
I'm on Skype, my dear. I'm on Skype right now with you guys, and maybe that is what's going on here, but we do ceremony for water in a lot of ways too. So, tobacco ceremonies and water is giving life. That's the main thing. So anytime we do anything, we do a prayer to a tree. If we're going to take part of that tree, we pray to the tree. If we're going to take any of the water, we pray to the water. It's a respect manner, Nancy.
Okay, so
did you get me real good on that one?
Yes, I did. Thank you. So my question here is that we kind of seem to be taking it a little bit farther than even the Native Americans do, in that you understand a sentience to the water and you honor the water. But what Deb and I believe is that the power of our thoughts can also energize water with that thought. So if you've got a situation where, like this situation, okay? Everybody's out there fighting for the water. What if we were to turn our thoughts towards the water and imbue the water with an essence of love that will just permeate everybody in the area so that their hearts will open, so that they will understand the connection? This is the way I would move. Let me put it that would be my path, to actually empower the water. Would you say so, Deb? Is that something that?
Yes.
Colleen?
Well, I think that we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit different, but we're still focusing our respect, our energy, via our thoughts, our prayers, our offerings, whatever. We're doing the same thing, just in a little bit different ways. I know the First Nations people honor the spirit of everything, which would include the water. So, in my opinion, it's the same thing, just our ceremonies may be a bit different, but we're still all doing the same thing. A lot of us are.
Yeah.
Well, my point is here that maybe we're missing a condition, or an element of power. In other words, when I think about it, I think about these human beings. I'm trying to open their hearts. But what if I change the way that I'm looking at it and I think of the water, which is a base of power? Maybe we're underestimating the water itself to be able to generate an even more powerful field than I can generate just by thinking about opening up human hearts, by putting my energies into energizing the water, which then increases my potential for changing the environment there. That's where I'm kind of going. I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it. And don't underestimate the power of the people that are supposedly against us right now, or against the water. And don't underestimate the power of life itself and the life in water. And I think it totally could, that vibration of that love and holding that highest outcome can happen, and that we don't really have to do anything other than see it and believe it and trust. But, I'm not saying not to do anything, but...
Well, Vanessa has asked if Two Dog can give us an example of the types of prayers that he gives, say when he takes water or takes from a plant or a tree or whatever, if he can kind of share maybe that process a bit with us.
Well, that would be nice, yes.
Two Dog?
Yes, I could do so if you would allow me. Yes, I could do so if you could allow me. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
One of the things we would do, we always take tobacco with us. Can you hear me okay? All right. We always take tobacco with us to do a set tobacco ceremony. We always give. If I even dig a hole in the earth mother to put anything in, I put tobacco down in that manner. If I go to the water, what I do is I look into the water because that is us. Water is us also. So I allow and tell the water what I am going to do with it. And I thank the spirit of that water for giving me life to allow me to continue to do what I do. I give that blessing up for the water. I give the blessing up for all 6 directions. And that water will help me in my movements and in what I need to do and in my lifetime. I give that water or that tree or whatever that I'm fixing to do with, and I tell it exactly what I'm going to do with it. And then I thank the spirit of that water or that tree for all the blessings that it gives us and give ultimate respect to.
Okay, when you say 6 directions, Two Dog, is that north, south, east, west, above and below?
Well, it's north, south, east, west. I give it to the spirit of the north, south, east, and west. And I also raise it to the Creator. And I also lower it to the Earth's Mother.
Okay.
So that's six directions, son.
Okay, because I was wondering about that and wanted to clarify it a bit. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Two Dog. That was beautiful.
So what Two Dog I think is showing us is if we can incorporate a sense of gratitude for everything that's around us, it changes the vibration of the planet. Changes everything.
You got it, Nancy. That's it.
More people that commit to that kind of reverence will only help everybody else. Because again, the people that are out there that are fearful and greedy, and they are our brothers. They are our sisters. They are us. And if we can just reach out with love, that's the answer. I mean, it's kind of as simple as that, I think. Comments?
It's always been that of being grateful and having gratitude, and that we as two-legged, as far as the two-legged is concerned, is that we are no better than that smallest bug to the biggest fish in the sea. We're the same. These are our relations, and we're here to help each other. It's like the Plains Indian and the buffalo. Although we ate the buffalo or whatever and made our homes with it and used every part of it, the buffalo and the Plains Indian were kind of, how do I say it, one. Is that we helped each other in many ways, as far as the weakest or the sickest in animal way. In animal way, if you kill the weakest or the sickest, especially the sickest, then there is no overpopulation. And overpopulation of the animal, of course, would bring disease. If you kill off the wolf, then the deer overpopulate, disease happens. It's a circle of life in many ways.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when they took the wolves and introduced them to Yellowstone Park. And I don't know if you've seen that video, but it shows how, because the wolves were brought back into the park, the deer that were basically destroying the vegetational world and the balance there were driven out of the area for fear of the wolves. And within a matter of such a short time, everything in the area changed just because the wolves were back in the picture. Have you seen that?
Life has its own intelligence if we just allow it and respect it and honor it, for sure.
We think we know more than Mother.
You're exactly right, to be honest, because we got to understand that we are part of this circle of life, and any part of it that is gone, especially like the water, life won't continue.
Right.
That's why we're fighting so hard for our water, and this is for all life. And if that water goes bad, that you can't drink it, the animals can't drink it, all life is gone.
Well, I actually think there's something more happening there, because as I was looking at the British Broadcasting discussions of it, one of the things that they brought out was that there was a large number of young people, young Native Americans who were involved in this particular movement. And there's an interesting interview with a few of them, and they were saying that it was the first time that they began to get in touch with their own Native American tribal beliefs. Even though they had been presented it, now they are feeling it. They're enacting it. And I think that this is one of those situations where it goes back to what you said earlier, Deb, about the young people. It's like, we're the 60s generation. I'm the 60s generation. But the people that are working with me with the Shungite are half my age.
Yep.
You know, they're so full of energy, and it's like, when most of my life, if I'm having a discussion with somebody, I've got to explain something to them. But with these young kids, I don't need to explain to them. They know.
Yep.
So it is a movement within the humanity itself. I mean, the younger the kid, it seems like the more magical they are.
Nancy,
there is a change. There's a dramatic.
Let me roll with you on that. Let me roll with you on that for a minute, Nancy, for a second. I heard Deb talking that she was born in 1959 and kind of, didn't get, that far into, the 60s thing like that. But I was born in 1959, and by the 1967, I'd say 66, 67, I was in the movement.
Ah.
I actually marched in some of the Martin Luther King marches when I was 8. And I even tried to get to Woodstock in 1969 when I was 10 and got caught. So, I do understand that movement quite well.
How do you feel about the young people now as related to then?
The young people that I see a lot on the, out on the street and doing these things they're not as involved as what we were in the 60s.
Okay.
But in a lot of ways, they're starting to come back out because in our culture, and I'll say it like this is what elders of the Indian people once stated. He said, when the children of the white man learn to start wearing their hair long and start wearing necklaces, then they will understand.
Ah. Interesting. I see it starting to happen here, but maybe because I'm in a progressive community. I don't know.
Yes, it's happening slowly.
Yeah.
But it seems to be coming back full circle in some aspects. In some communities, it's back full circle. And in some communities, they're just, I hate to say it, spiritually, they're in the time when spirits get eaten, and their spirit is being eaten right now.
Yeah.
They're not paying attention.
Well, I was looking over at the on the blog page, and you can go to cosmicreality.net, and you just go to Cosmic Reality blogs, and the first blog that's up there right now, which is September 3rd, is on. It says Two Dogs Flags, and I said that because it was a little catchier than some of the other things. But if you go there, there is a donation link. It'll take you to GoFundMe. That's actually apparently the group that's right there on the ground. They had a goal of $350,000, and right now they're over the 300,000 mark. So, give your energy. It doesn't take much if everybody just gives what they can. They'll go even bigger. You want them to go bigger. You want them to double that, because the more that they can get into that fund, the more they can do to feed and shelter the people that I think that there's going to be more and more coming. Now that they've said they can start up again, it's probably going to galvanize even more people to go. And it's sort of like ironic in that you watch the dark side create all these crises, and instead of getting more control, what they're doing is they're forcing people to come together. So in a certain way, they may be doing the bidding of Earth herself. Well, we'll just wake them up a little bit, and we'll say, hey, what if we take all your water away from you? Oh my gosh, I don't think I want you to do that. And so people start coming together in a way that wouldn't have been possible if they hadn't have been doing all this crazy stuff. But yes, you can go there and you can donate. It's a GoFundMe site, and just the fact that they've got that much already in was very impressive to me. This is a big operation, so participate if you can. I mean, when they had the occupation movement, which was very, very powerful, there was no leaders. They just got together, and they really did scare the country. There was no drama involved in it. They just kind of camped out, and we're here. We don't, we know there's something wrong. We don't exactly know what to do about it. And none of us at the time knew what to do about it, to be honest. Yeah, there's a problem. The banking system is a nightmare. The banking system is an illusion. The government is not a government, it's a corporation. I mean, all these things were being talked about, but there was no solutions. So what drove the Occupy movement out of the picture? It was the weather. They waited for winter. And they had good hopes that in the springtime they'd be able to do it again, but hey, it had passed them by. But what did it give us? What was that? What did that mean to us? You had all these people, millions of people all over the United States asking the same question. There's something wrong. Does anybody know how to fix it? And because of that question, because they had opened up their hearts, saying, I'm opening up myself to you because I don't know what else to do. I need to go back to the tribal concept of the person that's standing next to you is your friend. And in doing so, they ask questions that the universe then, I think, in many ways contrived to give answers to. I can only say that I keep seeing more and more of an awakening and a movement that is full of love and peace. You know, even beyond, I mean, in those hippie days way back then, my gosh, you could take a drug called MDA and you'd feel it. I mean, they actually had a drug called the love drug because whatever it was doing to your body made you in a state of love. That was the emotion you felt.
Oh my God, yes.
You remember that?
Now we have the opportunity to do it without that even. I mean, you can choose to do it that way, but the energies are now supporting us to be that without any external factor other than the cosmic rays. So it's pretty exciting.
And that's absolutely true. And even back then, when I was doing some, interesting drugs, I was firmly convinced that I could do it without the drugs.
I know we can.
I mean, it was this, wow, I'm being taught something.
Shown.
And that, exactly. We were presented with, drugs. Yes, they were drugs. But it was creating an opening in our awareness of what could be.
Yes. Because back then it was a little denser. The energies here were denser and they're lightening up now. So we can do it without it. But some people may still need that, and I'm not saying that's bad either at all, Whatever way takes you there.
Well, my personal belief is that, give yourself a chance to get there without the drugs.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the drug environment, it's very seductive.
Yeah.
You don't need the drugs anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not talking about the heroin and these things that are just bringing you down. I'm talking about all of the hallucinogenics, all of the, the Aborigine kind of concepts of it. You don't need it anymore. You don't need LSD. You can do it yourself.
What I say with self, as far as yourself,
yeah,
there's a good way to get high out here, and that's on life in itself.
Yay!
A lot of people need to do in a way what I keep saying. In a lot of ways, we need to go back to the mountain and get focused.
Yeah.
And that is to understand that we're part of this nature in itself also. But when a sister is down, you reach your hand down and pick that sister up, or a brother too. It's that we're not that different. Culturally, maybe, but we're all the human being here, and we're all brothers and sisters. And if we can't reach down and pick our sister up when she's down, because actually the woman is much stronger than the man is in many ways, but we need to learn to say, I love you more. And we need to learn that what the hippies were talking about in the 60s is not that far-fetched. It's reality. And people are afraid of reality. That's what's wrong. Reality is that it's here. And if we don't do something with our mother to make sure all life continues for our children, and that's everyone's children, all life is seriously concerning for me.
Well, I agree with you, but I also think that the concept, what I see happening is that people, like when Gabriella and I get together, we go off into fantasy land, don't we, Deb? It's like, what if? And we've gone on some really interesting journeys because we're willing to take a chance that I'm smelling something weird. Well, maybe it's not something 3D weird. Maybe it's that other weird. And so we go off into the allowing. It is reality sci-fi. It's allowing things that could be just imagination to be real. And once you begin to get into that mentality, that lifestyle, then more and more of these impossible things become possible and in fact are expected. That's the difference, is that as I go farther and farther down this path, I'm back to where I was in the 90s, where I expected magic to happen. And magic is only the manipulation of energy. And nowadays, the kids get it without even being trained. It's so much part of their beingness now. And I do think it's because so many of us, through our lifetimes, have gone there, have taken a chance that there's more to life than what we were told it was, or what seems to be. Let's just imagine something more and see what it is. You know, look around the corner, look through the door, look beyond where you've been told you're at. And so, yeah, we're in a special place.
Like John Lennon, like Martin Luther King, like the card I pulled today. The dream, the impossible made possible. Who says it can't be? Only us. It's not real. It's totally can be. And it seems like fantasy, but it's not. It's here. It's already here. We just have to step into it and do like Two Dogs says, like the elders and the ancestors already knew and did. We lost that somewhere along the way. It's all here for us. Beautiful.
You know, Nancy, I can say it like this in a lot of ways, and this is my culture just speaking. The words of my ancestors and the words of the old ones, the words are still in the wind.
Mm.
And if you listen to me, I'm speaking the words that my ancestors spoke. The words and power is still in the wind. We're just grabbing that and giving it back. The thing about it is every action has reaction. If I give you good action, I get good reaction from you. Hopefully. The point being is that black, white, yellow, red around the world, all four sacred colors or directions, is that we are all men and women. We are all human beings here, and we are all brothers and sisters. And if we cannot help each other for the benefit of our children, because that's our next generation coming, and I want better for my child than I did, but I want better for your children and your grandchildren better than you. You want better for your kids. I do the same. We're not that different around the world, no matter where we are.
True.
Deb, what does do you have any more insight into what the astrological, say that right? Astronomy.
Well, I know we're in several different trends and a lot of things have just changed signs. I've really been more interested in the Kali Yuga and the leaving the darkness into the light, and we're in that transition phase. And it is a big time of change, but recently what keeps popping out to me, I don't pay a lot of attention to it. I mean, I'll watch it. It kind of goes in one ear and out the other because I've learned over the years to live it more than just focus on particulars. But what does jump out right now for some reason with me is Saturn and Neptune, because they are a little polarized, but I really feel it's almost like love is going to win, like the respect and the love of the earth and the form. And so the old structure, or the current structure, I don't want to say old because there's been so many time periods, but the current structure is going to dissolve through the power of love, or spirit, through the power of spirit within all of us. And we are having the choice right now. Which way do we want to go? Do we keep wanting giving into the fear of what they're feeding us on the TV and our fear of scarcity and lack, and not appreciating, even if you're in the inner city, there are still beautiful things around. If you know, there's that saying, those who have eyes will see, those who have ears will hear. It's right in front of us everywhere. Just look in a person's eyes and you can see it, in an animal's eyes, in a plant. It's everywhere. It's beautiful. I don't know what happens. We get closed down. So many people don't even see the beauty and the sacredness of everything that's right in front of us. So I feel like the time period we're in, is really presenting us a wonderful opportunity and decision choice point for each of us to return to that.
You know, we had on the American Kabuki Taryn, and he
Right.
was talking about it's gonna, when this new awakening or whatever the event or whatever he was, I don't know how he was referencing it, but the big event where everything changes, he said that all the old buildings would fall away and there would be these wonderful, beautiful buildings in their place. And to me, it was like, when he said it, I'm thinking of, I've got this movie screen in front of me, you know, and I see the old buildings being taken apart brick by brick by brick and then built back up into these wonderful things. But as you were talking, I see the same thing pop up in my head, only this time, instead of the old thing being taken apart brick by brick and then built up into the new thing, it was like all of a sudden it was like this kind of like whoosh. And the old thing is the new thing, but we don't see it yet. So
Right.
It's not a matter of restructuring, it's a matter of seeing it, just like you just explained.
Yep. And I don't know how to explain it either, but yeah, to me, I don't know why, at least a year ago, something happened to me, and I went into this place of love without any outer reason. And I go in and out of it now, but I held it pretty constant for a few months. And
Okie dokie. You've dropped off a moment, Deb. Is anybody else still with us?
You hear me all right?
I hear you fine, Two Dog.
I'm here.
Right.
Maybe she lost her power again, because that was, oh, here she comes.
I'm on the cell phone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, 'cause I can hear you. I think I figured out. My electric went out again. And it's not back on. Yeah, so we just have to step into it. But the bricks do need to be taken out. But you know where they have to be taken out of? Our own heart. And just open up to your, it sounds crazy, but even your enemy. For years I do this thing and it's not easy. When you want to strangle somebody, and believe me, we all want to occasionally, it's take a moment, step back, breathe, and remember there is a sacred being in there too, and things are happening for reasons we don't always understand, and try to open your heart and send love to them. Even if it doesn't change anything, it will soften your heart, and you never know. I've seen miracles happen with that.
Yeah, I remember a time when I was working as a waitress in this very nice restaurant, but the guy who was the manager of the bar, for whatever reason, really had a lot of animosity towards me. And it was, you know, I knew how he felt. And I was having continual headbutts, you know, continual. And then one day I said, something or another, I was learning about light work or whatever. I said, well, he's the biggest pain in my butt right now. So maybe if I just put out all this love energy towards him, he'll change. And my surprise, that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Within 3 days of, instead of thinking of him as the enemy, but just thinking of my heart opening up a channel of love to him, this guy transformed and we ended up becoming very, very good friends.
It's amazing.
So
that's how it works.
That's how it works. Yep, it is.
It's almost like a surrender and an allowing, which I have a hard time with too sometimes. And like I said, letting spirit do its thing and honoring each thing, like Two Dog says, for just it has the same life force in it as we do. And we're all here together. So why don't we act like it? I don't know.
Well, I think we do act like it on Wolf Spirit and other radio little groups.
We do,
you know?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
sure.
I mean.
And other groups are too. I've seen it. In our community. It's happening a lot. And we're little, but
Are we still here? Am I still here?
Yeah. I still hear you.
Okay. Deb, I don't know, Colleen, are you there? Are you muted? I don't know, Two Dog. It looks like it might just be you and me hanging in here on Skype. I don't know what happened. Well, Colleen's, if Colleen's not here, we don't have the studio, so we're just talking to ourselves.
Well, I see Deb has dropped off, but I still see Colleen here.
Same here, but she's not answering me.
I'm sorry, what's going on?
Yeah,
well,
we're
Deb
on the
dropped
radio.
off. You dropped off. We weren't listening to. Nobody was answering. You know, Two Dog and I are here. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I had to go potty.
Ah, you weren't even there. Oh, okay. Well, Deb just dropped off again. So maybe she's having a real storm thing.
I'm going to try to add her back and see if it works.
Okay. Well, we're kind of at the top of the hour here. We could, kind of sign off, but I'd like to see if we can say, how are you? Are you all right, Deb? You've lost your power and your phone? Maybe the phone's battery went dead or something.
Well, yeah, she's not coming back.
Okay. Two Dog, I thank you so much again for coming and visiting with us. We do have, like I say, up on Haggy Shack Radio, you can find the link, and you can find it over in CosmicReality.net. I just got the blog up. I gotta figure out how to promote it more. But we do so honor the fact that you brought this to our attention, and that it is seemingly a really good opportunity to further our solidarity worldwide is a world of tribes.
I hope that, one of the things that this is about, also about the flags is concerning, is just to, reach out in love, honor, respect, and peace, and to tell the people around the world, which JP, I gotta hand it to your brother on Wolf Spirit Radio. You did give me the flag of Scotland. It is flying out here. The thing about it is that, we're just honoring all people from all over the world. And if we have a great big peace meeting in about a year, I'm hoping, is that all these flags will be flying, and I'll meet you. And we'll be here to talk about what we can do for each other in this world.
Well, not to get too scientific, but when you bring all those flags together in one spot, you're actually causing a quantum entanglement. And, that's the key to it. It's just us guys coming together. So what he's talking about is that if you go to the blog, there is an address where you can send a flag. Now, it can be your county, your city, your state, your country, but you can send a flag to Two Dog, and as he collects these, he will honor and cherish them and cherish the people, but we will also, it's like a mark of community, and they will eventually be flown in absolute victory of all people coming together.
Yeah.
That's what I keep seeing with it, Two Dogs. So, like I say, go to CosmicReality.net or HaggyShack.com, and you can link up with this, and you can see you can hear the show from last week. This is a show that you can actually go on Wolf Spirit Radio and the current archives, and for a week after the show, you can download it. Get the word out. Just, send it out. Post the stuff on your Facebook, please, on your Twitter accounts. And then that's about it. You got anything else to say here, Two Dog?
Well, the only thing I can say to my brothers and sisters that are actually listening out here is take your mind, put it to your heart, let your heart beat, and put your feet on the mother, because as the mother goes, so goes all life. So let's protect everything upon her. Our relations are counting on us right now, and our next generations will have to either live through what we do now. So we have to get the idea that we are responsible and your children and your grandchildren will either do victory or they'll suffer by what we do. Nancy?
Well, I honor you so much for the work you do and have done. Colleen, you want to add anything that we might have missed?
Okay, the only thing I want to say is when you go to HaggieShack.com, look for a link at the top that says special interest, and then go to Two Dog, and I put a link in there to Nancy's site, rather than redoing all of her wonderful work. So that way, either way, you can get there through Nancy's site directly or through that link on HaggieShack.com under special interests. And coming up next, will be a replay of Up Crossers Creek with Emily Norcross, Vanessa's daughter, and her guest, not her ghost, is Nancy Hopkins, and that's a replay from July 23rd.
Well, Deb, I'm sorry you kind of dropped off there. She's typing furiously in the message on chat. But she's typing, so I'm assuming something's still not happening with her system. Love you, Deb. Two Dog, thank you again. Appreciate you. And Colleen, of course, appreciate you. And everybody out there, be safe. Tomorrow, I don't know if Simon is going to be on live on Wolf Spirit or not. I don't know if he's over his vacation. Do you know anything?
I'm thinking last I heard he will be on live tomorrow.
Let's hope so, because that way Walt and I will have something to talk about, because Walt and I will be on after his show, commenting on whatever is brought up. So, that's tomorrow starting with Simon at 2, and then the ODD, Simon Says show at 4. And then, of course, there's Cosmic Reality, and then We'll Talk with Friends. And, every week we get a schedule up, and that keeps us going. That keeps us talking and influencing the ethers, as it were. So,
yeah. And Nancy, if you don't mind me saying this real quick, for all the brothers and sisters of the 60s, it totally was far out, man.
Well, there was a time there where we were kind of looked down upon, and as we get older, they look at us and they go, oh, I've had some kids, they're so funny, it's like, you lived in the 60s? You're the 60s generation? It's like, and it's like, yeah, that's me. So I appreciate that, Two Dog. And you apparently were there as a youngster, and that's just amazing.
I was all up in it.
Okay, so Deb is saying her electric went out, then on the phone did something weird and cut off Skype. It's after 5, so I'm assuming the show is now over. Apologize for the strange tech issues, not sure what it is happening here. The electric back on now. Thank you so much for having me on, and I very much enjoyed this show and topic. So happy you're back, Colleen, and fun to be with you, both of you, and to meet Two Dog. Have a wonderful weekend. And with that, be safe, everybody. So appreciate you. Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you all. Bye now. Love y'all.
Love you, babes.
You've been listening to Say What on Haggie Shack Radio at HaggieShack.com. Simulcast to Wolf Spirit Radio.